Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a brand new episode of our F1 2021 My Driver Career Mode. Hope you're all having a great day. Today, we have the Japanese Grand Prix coming your way here and now, where we will be taking a grid penalty of 25 places for this GP. So we will be starting at the back no matter what, due to myself having to change out, I think, 3 different parts it is coming into this one. And that, of course, exceeds the limit of what we're allowed of 3 per component. So unfortunately, we will have to take a grid penalty here coming off of a very, very strong Singapore GP recently, a huge step up in our performance, and it felt really good to actually back that up because in the previous 2 races we actually DNF'd in Monza in Italy on that last lap crash with our teammate Vettel and then Yuki Tsunoda, and then we had that mechanical failure on just, I think, the 8th lap of the Russian GP. So it was nice to back that up with a strong run in Singapore with, in my opinion, probably my best actual drive of the season. We've had top 10s, of course, this season. We have a car that's capable of running top 10 here and there, but it really depends on their track. And we come into Japan, and this is a track I've struggled at a little bit, and I really wasn't anticipating the car's strength to really suit this track specifically, so I wasn't really sure what to expect here, if we were going to be a top 10 threat or not. But we come through into practice, and we were setting decent lap times here. Now I was getting a decent feel for the car here. Now you got to be really careful through the S's, especially if you hit these curbs. You cannot be on the throttle whatsoever on them, otherwise you are going to spin out very, very quickly here now as we came through to the 3rd lap of this race strategy program. And we were in the green each and every single lap, and there was moments of each lap where we ended up in the red, but we were able to really use the straight line speed advantage of this setup to help us get into the green above that delta time. So we ended up all the way down in 19th place, so in practice. That was a little bit concerning to say the least, so I didn't know how qualifying was going to go here as we come through into the Formula 1 Honda Japanese Grand Prix qualifying here for the first and opening session. As you can see, very overcast conditions this weekend. That's expected to be the whole weekend's weather forecast here for us as we get ready for our first effort at qualifying. And I've mentioned this recently, I really got to step up specifically my first lap in the first session because I keep using too many sets of tires, in my opinion, to what I want to be doing. I just want to get in one go, but I continue to force myself into a second run in Q1, and that happened once again. I just didn't have the pace on the first lap, was in 16th place very quickly. So we had to come out, make a second attempt, and we quickly gained the time that I had given up in that first attempt, and we were already 0.2 of a second to the good, and by the time we came through to the end of the lap, we picked up 0.4 of a second. Then we got right to about half a second better as we came through to cross the line. That put us P13, and that would get us into the second qualifying session there. So I was pretty happy with that. We were 1 spot behind our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, but the problem was we were about 0.8 of a second off of him. Coming through now into Q2, a close call with Max Verstappen right at the end of the session. I only plan to make 1 lap no matter what because we know we're starting at the back anyways due to the grid penalty. So I get a little bit aggressive right there. We are running, like I said recently now, on strict corner cutting rules, and we're going to continue that for hopefully the rest of this My Driver series. But we crossed the line for P14, and that is exactly where we would end up here now. I didn't make a second attempt, obviously, due to that grid penalty there, as our teammate Sebastian Vettel as well finds himself eliminated now as we're going to get ready to go to the Japanese Grand Prix. Let's head to the grid.
Welcome along then to the magnificent Suzuka International Circuit, a stone's throw away from Issa Bay in the beautiful Japanese countryside. What surprises lie in wait for us today in the Japanese Grand Prix? We're southwest of the city of Nagoya today at the unique figure-of-8 Suzuka circuit. 3.6 miles and 18 corners make up a lap here, with average speeds approaching 136 miles per hour. DRS will be available, of course, into the potential passing opportunity at turn 1, although the best place for overtaking will be through 130R and into the final chicane. It's race day yet again, and joining me for a chat, Anthony Davidson. And our racers are certainly in for a rough day today. What will you be watching for as they go down into turn 1?
Well, the start of the race is always one of the most nerve-wracking parts. You have to hope that everyone is able to get off to a clean start, and this is possibly the trickiest part of the entire race. So many drivers in such a small space, and finding your braking point into turn 1 as well. It's a testament to the driver's skill that there aren't more incidents.
Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. Valtteri Bottas lines up on pole position, and it's Lewis Hamilton alongside. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Verstappen, Lando Norris and Ricciardo, Russell, Vettel, Giovinazzi and Lance Stroll. Leclerc, they've taken a grid penalty. Gasly, Mick Schumacher and Tsunoda. Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Joe, the rookie and Carlos Sainz. Latifi and Callum Ilott. And with lights out just moments away, it's time to go down to the track.
With 25 grid place penalty, surprisingly not starting in dead last here now, as we're looking at a one-stop strategy here for today in the Japanese Grand Prix. We're going to go from the soft tire to the medium tire and go to the end of the race, and hopefully we can get a way better result than 17th here as we get off the grid for the formation lap. Mercedes, Red Bull have been going back and forth, but it's been Max Verstappen who's been pulling away in the championship battle, especially after his recent win in the Singapore GP last episode here now as we get back to the grid and get ready to go. It's a Mercedes lockout on the front row with Bottas and Hamilton, and then you got Verstappen and Perez on row number 2 as it's going to be 5 red lights. We start from the 17th position here now as Valtteri Bottas is going to lead the way as it's lights out and we are underway here from the Japanese Grand Prix, but it's a great start from the British driver of Lewis Hamilton, the 7-time world champion who's already out of championship contention this time around here in just our second season of the My Driver series. He is into the lead. Verstappen down in 4th was under attack there briefly from the McLaren of Lando Norris now as Norris is under attack from his Australian teammate there of Daniel Ricciardo, who will go through and take the 5th position from Lando Norris now. George Russell, Sebastian Vettel follows them just behind now. As you can see, Williams there, as well as myself, all the way down in last place. I was down in last place because I had a terrible start, and I'm going to show you guys a replay of what happened to myself. We started P17 with the grid penalties, and would have hoped that we would have moved forward, but no, that was not the case. We got off the grid decently. It could have been better, but it could have certainly been worse, so I wasn't too disappointed with that. Carlos Sainz starting at the back as well with us with that grid penalty he took, and I'm up the left-hand side of Carlos through turns 1 and 2, and then you're going to see we get through here really tight. The car didn't want to turn on myself, so as we came through here dealing with a lot of understeer, we were side by side with Latifi. I lost out to him right there, and then right here I have a big moment on the curb. We saved it, and we would actually get back past, I believe it was Callum Ilott, and it was Latifi as well. We passed them both and would continue on with our day on this same first and opening lap, so we're back up at a P18 there. As you can see, the rest of the grid coming through to complete this first and opening lap of the Japanese Grand Prix here in Suzuka. Now, as you see, the AlphaTauri there trying to go around to the left-hand side of the Williams, but wasn't quite able to make it happen here. Now, as you can see, I'm up into 18th place here at the start of lap 2, and now just waiting for the opportunities to get to a straightaway and make a move on Guan Yu Zhou there in the Alfa Romeo. Almost at a moment right there as well. These curbs are deadly here in these S's specifically, but now overtake mode on as we go down this long straightaway towards 130R. We're going to look to the left-hand side of Guan Yu Zhou now. Up in front of us, you see Sainz making a move on the Haas, and we're going to easily complete the pass right there on Guan Yu Zhou. It was aggressive, it was bold, but we made it work here as we head down into the final chicane. Carlos Sainz side by side with our former teammate of Mick Schumacher in the Haas now, in the Castrol Haas now, as he stays ahead of Sainz, but now he's going to have that straight line speed, but he's kind of blocked in, and here I come here with overtake mode on, a big run, and we're going to look to the right-hand side of Carlos Sainz and to the inside of Schumacher. They're not able to make the move on Schumacher, but we get past Carlos, and then it was just a matter of time, of course, until we were going to be able to pass Schumacher, and that would be on the very next lap on the front straightaway with DRS activated. We could go around our former teammate of Mick Schumacher a little bit wide there through the first couple of corners, but we kept it on the track and we kept it ahead of Schumacher. Then now through 130R to the back gearbox of Lance Stroll, and we're going to look to the left-hand side of him, the fellow Canadian. We're going the grass a little bit right there, and we're still going to get DRS as we actually even complete the pass on him because we're behind him when we got to that DRS zone detection spot. So Carlos Sainz very quickly would actually get past both the cars we passed there of the Haas duo of Schumacher as well as Stroll, and then he would actually get to my back gearbox in just a matter of moments, and I decided to let him go because I knew I didn't have the pace to beat Carlos, so I let him go through that little hairpin right there and just kind of settled in behind him. Fun fact, by the way, Carlos Sainz and myself have the same birthday, September 1st, as we continue on our way now to lap 9, as I was kind of starting to lose some ground to Carlos Sainz and running away from everybody in front of us, or behind us, sorry. Lewis Hamilton comes into the pit lane there from the lead. We saw that mega start from him there, and there you see the Daniel Ricciardo there from McLaren is going to come in as well, and then we're going to have some other cars in the background right there. Charles Leclerc as well as Pierre Gasly come in now, as I would expect, put on either the medium or the hard tire now, as Esteban Ocon in the Alpine is in, and it looks like it's going to be hard tires for a bunch of these guys here as they head back out on the track. A lap later, here comes Valtteri Bottas into the pit lane as well. He's going to be putting on the hard tire. Verstappen's in with him, but he's not putting on the hard tire. He's putting on the medium tire. Norris comes in as well, and it looks like he's doing the hard tire. So we've got some mixed strategies going on here. A few laps later, on lap 12, Perez comes in for the medium tire. Sebastian Vettel has stayed out. He is going to actually take the lead briefly of the Japanese Grand Prix there, as we were currently in P6. We were going a little bit longer here now, as you can see Hamilton now, as we came through to the start of lap 12, is under attack here from Max Verstappen there in the Red Bull. He goes to the right hand side. You see Perez gets out in front of both of them there, so a great job by Perez, who gets in front of the Mercedes there, as that would be the end of that battle for the time being. I came in, made my pit stop, put on the medium tire, and I was looking around seeing a whole lot of drivers on the hard compound. Carlos Sainz, for some reason, is on the soft compound, so I don't know about that and how that's going to work for him, because that's a guaranteed second pit stop for Carlos Sainz, and I don't see how that's going to benefit the Ferrari driver in any way here throughout the rest of this GP. Now, as we're already closing in on the halfway point, but now to lap 14, here goes Verstappen again up the right-hand side of Lewis Hamilton, who was previously leading the GP through the pit cycle, has fallen down to 4th. Perez somehow has gotten to the lead of this GP just about, as he's going to now make a move on the right-hand side. This was actually the same lap that Verstappen passed Hamilton. Perez makes a move, takes the lead in that Red Bull BMW over Valtteri Bottas, your defending world champion here now, as myself is as well still trying to be on the move here now, as I make a move on Antonio Giovinazzi. We've had our fair share of run-ins with him in the past, so we would move up into 14th place, and then Carlos Sainz comes into the pit lane for his second pit stop. We move up into 13th place, but that was all I had. I knew I wasn't going to be able to run down Yuki Tsunoda. I was pretty content with at least accepting that 13th place is where we were going to finish here, without anybody in front of us having some type of mechanical failure or an incident, as we go through the grid here now on lap 20 of 27, just 8 laps to go in this Japanese Grand Prix. You see the McLaren duo of Norris and Ricciardo 5th, and 6th Leclerc, just in front of our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, who looks to fight back against us in points today to at least tie it up, or maybe get ahead of us by a little bit now, as Gasly in the AlphaTauri in 9th place. And you go through the Alpine duo of George Russell, Esteban Ocon, probably our biggest threat. That's who we're battling for, or battling against in the constructors right now, is with Alpine. So Tsunoda there in 12th, and then myself in 13th, and we were over 5 seconds behind Tsunoda. We're not going to make that up in 8 laps here. He was on the hard tire, I'm on the medium tire, and I still couldn't close in on him. We were just downright struggling in pace here today in the Japanese Grand Prix, which was very frustrating there, as you see Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari trying to pass Guan Yu Zhou there in the Alfa Romeo, and it looks like right there, yes, he will complete the pass and move up into 16th place. Definitely not enough time for Carlos to run us down before this GP comes to a close, so I wasn't concerned about him whatsoever, and that two-stop strategy there just made 0 sense for Carlos Sainz, to say the least. But now to lap 21, Perez, who had opened up over a second gap over Valtteri Bottas, all of a sudden has a huge drop in pace in that Red Bull BMW. I'm assuming he had some type of mechanical or electrical issue going on, because within half a lap, that gap is cut down by over half here. Is this less than half a second, and Bottas is going to close up into the hairpin right up to the gearbox of Sergio Perez now. As you can see, that's going to bring Verstappen right back into the mix. It's going to bring Hamilton into the mix potentially if these guys get going at it, and sure enough, that's exactly what happens down this long straightaway towards 130R. They're going to go side by side. Perez somehow still just has enough speed in that engine there, as they're going to be side by side through the left-hander, and they continue down towards this final chicane, and Bottas breaks Perez, and that's going to give Perez DRS down the front straightaway, and he remains side by side with Bottas, and sure enough, he gets back in front. Here's Verstappen right on the back gearbox. Now Bottas moved to the right-hand side, but Perez has DRS as it go down this front straightaway. Verstappen's going to stay in line with his teammate of Perez and maybe try to push him forwards, and it works. Perez stays out in front. Bottas is now in a scrap with Verstappen, but Verstappen doesn't have enough right there. Bottas remains in second place, but Lewis Hamilton now in the mix, and then once again down the same straightaway, a lap later on lap 22, side by side again towards 130R. Perez now has almost found a trick right here to keep Bottas behind him, and once again he fights as hard as he possibly can, trying to win the Japanese Grand Prix. Bottas outbreaks Perez again. That's going to give Perez the DRS in the same situation as last lap. Perez gets clear, and he's going to have the DRS to aid him down this front straightaway to hold on to the lead. Verstappen right on the gearbox. The Bottas is going to make a move to the right-hand side now. As you can see, Bottas tried to defend, not enough, and Verstappen goes into second place there. That will be a huge benefit to Perez, but now Verstappen could put the attack to Perez now in these closing laps of the Japanese GP. Now as Perez tries to run away, Verstappen second, Bottas third, Lewis Hamilton in fourth place. Now as Bottas has an accident on the exit of the left-hander through the S as he goes head-on into the barrier, loses his front wing, and the safety car is going to come out here in Japan just moments after I passed the pit lane. Of course, I would have loved to come in right there, but here's a look. You can see Bottas right there clips the curb around. He goes head on into the barrier, and very fortunate he didn't DNF. And for myself, I decided to just bring it into the box a lap later and put on a fresh set of the medium tires. I didn't have any more fresh sets of the soft tires, unfortunately. We unfortunately as well, though, lost a couple positions to Sainz and Schumacher, but I didn't see any other alternative because I knew I didn't have the pace to beat Tsunoda, so I wanted to try and find some type of advantage at this point as we weren't in a points position anyway. So safety car is out, and this was setting us up for a 2-lap sprint to decide this GP. Our teammate is Sebastian Vettel up into 7th. Obviously, you had to bring it into the pit lane for Bottas there to replace his front wing, so he was down in the 12th position as we run in P16. So we would get ready to go back green here now as the safety car comes in at the end of lap 25. It's going to be Verstappen on the back gearbox of his teammate of Perez, who's been clearly having some issues here in these closing laps now as we are back underway, but Perez is a nice comfortable gap right now over Verstappen down towards turn 1. Hamilton in P3, Bottas not even in the points, and that's a huge help for Verstappen in his hopes to get closer and closer to clinching his first ever Drivers' Championship here in Formula 1, which could very well happen within the next couple of Grand Prix. Now is Lewis Hamilton in the same spot. If Bottas loses control of his car, it's going to be a huge accident there. Leclerc involved and everybody's piling in as I come in here, nowhere to go. We're out of the Japanese Grand Prix with 2 laps to go on a late race restart. Everybody just about involved in that accident. You see right there, Hamilton loses it in the exact same fashion that his teammate at Bottas does, and everybody piles in as Hamilton corrected back into the racing line, and we have a lot of views to look at right here. Here's Leclerc, nowhere to go. He piles in there, loses his left front tire, and everybody is piling in. Our teammate of Sebastian Vettel got kind of lucky right here. He loses his front wing but doesn't DNF and continues on with the race. Here's Pierre Gasly right there. Boom, there goes the left front tire for him. Not much he could do. Valtteri Bottas, who just brought out the safety car a few laps prior, is going to be out of this GP as well there as Carlos Sainz hit him. Here's a view from Lance Stroll in the background who lost his tire, and then myself. I decided I was going to go over to the left, and I thought I had this clear, and then I saw Hamilton, and there was nowhere I could go and nothing I could do at that point. So, wow, what a finish to this GP. 8 drivers just DNF'd in the biggest accident of the My Driver career mode so far.
That's it then for another fantastic Grand Prix here in Japan. A brilliant victory that has thoroughly earned the applause from the sellout crowd here today. Anthony, tell me, what was it that helped them achieve this success?
Taking care of the car was absolutely vital today. It's been obvious all weekend that the pace was there, but look at the attrition rate we've had. They would have been very concerned about any minor anomaly towards the latter stages of this Grand Prix.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
What an eventful end to the Japanese GP. It wasn't our day, to say the least. We didn't have the pace to run in the points, and our teammate of Sebastian Vettel, just by surviving the accident, gets a strong 5th place finish here today for Aston Martin. 8 drivers DNF'd in one accident. We've never had that happen here in the My Driver series, and Lewis Hamilton made one mistake, and around he went and corrected into the racing line, and obviously when everybody was so close together due to the safety car just leaving, it of course created a huge accident. You see Verstappen is so close at this point to being able to already lock up the Drivers' World title, and very well could do it in the next episode in the United States GP. Red Bull obviously about to clinch the Constructors as well here within the next couple episodes, I'm sure here now, as Mercedes is the best car on the grid still. It's crazy that Verstappen and Perez has been able to put the fight there, and pretty crazy as well that Perez lost that race actually there. When we DNF, Perez was still out in front, so somehow Verstappen got him. But we have now DNF'd in 3 of the last 4 GPs. It doesn't say we DNF'd in Monza, but we did. And the reason it doesn't say we DNF'd is because it was an accident on the very last lap of that GP. So do keep that in mind. We've now had, 4 DNFs this season, and 3 of them have come in the last 4 episodes, which is crazy to think. We need to step it up, and it's a lot of bad luck. There's nothing really due to our fault. The 2 accidents, we've literally had nowhere to go, and then the other one at Russia was a mechanical issue, and then earlier in the season as well. At France, it was for a mechanical issue. So unfortunate, but hopefully we can step it up in the USA with some more upgrades to the car as well. We really need to step it up here. Now, if you guys enjoyed, you know what to do, and I'll see you guys in the next one. And of course, thank you to the Go On Racing members. You'll be here at the end of the episode, and I'll see you guys next time. Have a great day, everybody.